About 6 years ago, a friend spoke to me and he mentioned that there was a huge history of collecting seaweed for fertiliser in Guernsey, and he thought that there was something in it and no one was really doing it at the time. So I started looking into it and found it fascinating that you could just collect drift seaweed from the beach, dry it out, put it on your garden, and it's the best fertiliser known to man. And then unfortunately the pandemic hit, which stopped sales of fertiliser. So at the time, a friend of mine who was a gin distiller came to me and said, I've got lots of alcohol. We haven't got any hand sanitizer on the island. Can you make jelly from seaweed? And I was aware that there's a specific type of seaweed called Irish moss that was used during the occupation in Guernsey, actually. They used to cook it up, make jelly out of it and eat it. And so I knew that you could. So we went down the beach and got loads of seaweed, cooked it up, and we made the world's first seaweed hand sanitizer. This is Irish moss, also known as carrageen. This is the one that we make pretty much most of our skincare products from, because as soon as you put it into water and heat it a little tiny bit, it basically turns into jelly, and the jelly is just full of nutrients, vitamins, and incredibly moisturising. In Guernsey, we are really lucky because our coastline is around about 48 miles if you go to every single headland. But also we're really lucky because it's very rocky and seaweed likes rocks to hang on to. We also have just the right amount of sun hours in a year, and we have a 10-metre tidal range. So it's literally the perfect place for growing seaweed in the Northern Hemisphere. Literally, it's better than anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere. And it means that we've got around about 750 different species of seaweed that grow around Guernsey in huge abundance. So this is a classic, it's the most common seaweed around the British Isles, and it's very underrated. It's serrated wrack because it's got little serrated edges to it. But actually just washed and dried and added to food, it's really, really subtle. It's got a very light taste, it's a light touch, but it adds flavour to everything that you're eating. Most people don't eat it, and I just think it's because it's so common. So it's not been heavily used in food, but it really should be. Then this one that's growing right next door to it is really interesting. This is called egg rack. And it's called egg rack because all of the little bladders that it uses to float in the sea. Egg rack grows quite slowly, actually. Serrated rack grows really quick. That'll grow within a month or two. This one, that's probably more like 6 to 9 months old. The interesting thing with egg rack, it's got more iodine than any other type of seaweed by far, but also it's got more vitamin C than oranges. This beach is particularly good for food type seaweeds. It's actually particularly good for most. The reason it's very big and it's got exactly the right geography that we're looking for, so we can get most of our types of seaweed here, which is why we like it. Also, we're on the northwest, which is the water is very, very clean. So we do, for food purposes, obviously we wash the seaweed when we get it back to the workshop, but it doesn't need too much. It is really crystal clear, so that helps as well. And it's a big beach with plenty. We can get anything we want here. Seaweed as a food is becoming a lot more popular. People talk about superfoods all the time, blueberries, kale, etc. People have finally cottoned on to the idea that seaweed is almost the ultimate superfood because it has absolutely everything. So it's incredibly high in vitamins that you'll struggle to get in other food. I mean, iodine, everyone knows, most people know that iodine is in seaweed. We all have an iodine deficiency, pretty much, about 95% of the population. And it's abundant in seaweed. So, and things like B12, B9, all sorts of vitamins, it's absolutely full of. I mean, and people are now realising it, and they're realising as well the umami flavour of seaweed. It does something really special to all food. So, for breakfast I had eggs with seaweed on. It didn't taste like seaweed, it just tasted a lot nicer than plain eggs. And you put it in a beef stew and it tastes beefier. And that's the umami in the sea. In all seaweeds have these complex compounds that basically excite your taste buds, and they have a little party. And that's all from seaweed that grows literally here, which is, we just find it very, very exciting.